This is a true crime discussions channel. We speculate. This is all just speculation. Because it's true crime, it's for mature audiences only. There will be no children allowed, no exceptions. Everything on this channel falls under fair use. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It's free.
Hey y'all, it's so good to see you this here day. Cindy come out the gate gifting 5 memberships. That was so very sweet and supportive of you, and I really appreciate that. Those went to Lil Kimmy Feels Crabby, Indian Taco, Mr. Joe, Lynn V, and Angel Rose. If you were gifted from Cindy and you are aware you were gifted, please tell Cindy thank you, and I will grab the crazy train and pick y'all up on the way to Speculation Station. I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. Thank you so very much, Cindy. That was so sweet of you. And I saw that today is Fawny. Fawny, thank you so much for the super chat. Fawny said, today is my 2-year sobriety day. I made it. That is so awesome. And I'm so happy for you. And I'm so proud of you. You're doing a great job. You just keep doing it, girl. It's hard sometimes. It really is. Lord have mercy. Some days I'm just like, whew, Lord. So, let me say hey to y'all. It's good to see you, Bad Girl, AM, Fawny, LJ Edith, Nicole, Amy, Heathen, One Sunny Day, Kimmy C123, Miss Scorpio Rising, Peach Tampa Bay, Indy, Hannah UK, Lynn V. Oh, those are the people who are gifted. Tony, good to see you. Katia, I saw that you dropped in for a minute. I hope you have a good day too if you hear this. Angelina and Kathleen, good to see y'all. I think that's about. Oh, I see QT was here and Cindy from sunny South Florida and Anders. Good to see y'all. Mallory Beavers, good to see you. I do have some questions I need to ask y'all, but I think I'm going to do it in a poll about some things that I want to talk about the 2 children missing from Nova Scotia. I need to get with Abellis on that. And I was wondering if y'all wanted to cover the P. Diddy trial. I don't know that it'll be like, I don't know. Y'all will have to let me know. Aw, Edith, good job. I think mine would be in February sometime. I don't keep track of it because I try not to think about, that time period of my life. It was, Lord, 10 years ago now. Marley Mom, good to see you. And Char the Cornish Gypsy, good to see you. Katia says just streaming at the same time. Well, that's awesome. Katia does trials. Katia, are you gonna do the P. Diddy trial? Hey Cara, good to see you. Okay. So we're gonna go over opening statements in the trial. Now, Fabian is the only one that went to trial. The other took plea deals. The other 2 took plea deals. And so I figured we would start with opening statements today. And this is obviously from KOB4. So, yeah, we're going to talk about opening statements. I'll be able to skip past whatever is not important and all of those things, and we can talk about it. It is ugly, isn't it? Anders, you said you might do an update. Okay. Hannah, I wanted you to know I see you too. I don't know if she was talking to you. Hey, a name here. Oh, Mallory said, Fawny, that's amazing. Oh,
you will also receive a written copy of.
You should be so proud of yourself. I am proud of you, and I'm proud of you too. My sister struggles with addiction, and I did too when I was in my 20s, so I know the hell that comes with it. You're amazing. You are all very amazing. And thank you all so much for being here. I can't express to you how grateful I am that y'all are here with us today. I really appreciate y'all hanging out and chatting with me and watching these videos with me. Thank you all so very much for that. All right, so we'll get started.
Of all instructions. You will each get your own set of instructions. You must follow the final instructions in.
Okay, that was just jury instructions. I don't feel that's relevant, really.
3rd, 2016.
All right, let me back it up.
The elevators. There's nothing wrong with saying good morning or good afternoon, but your conversation must end there. If the attorneys, parties, and witnesses do not greet you outside of court or avoid riding in the same elevator with you,
Hey, Marlon.
they are not being rude. They are
Aw.
just carefully observing this rule.
I was out this morning and I found some feverfew and yarrow. I found yarrow at the lake, and so I've been getting my medicinal herbs. So this. Okay, the opening statements were 2022. That's when this court case took place, and this is for Victoria. This is for the homicide of Victoria. It took them a while to get to trial, so um they're finally going to trial. Well, they went to trial in October of 2022. Fabian Gonzalez is the only one who took his stuff completely to trial because Jessica and Michelle took plea deals, and I think it was after his. Amy, good to see you again. I know I said hey to you. Angela said October 22nd will be my 3 year. Congratulations, love. It's not an easy thing, you know. Like I said, I haven't done it in 10 years and I still struggle with it sometimes. I really do. Sometimes I'm just like, man, I wish I could, but I don't want to live that lifestyle. You couldn't pay me to do it. Hey, Mercedes. Mercedes said, my head is in Maddie's zone. I watch a few other channels and they all seem to notice new details, like how Steppen was in detox when he was telling his parents it was an aliving watch. You think so? I'll have to check that video again. I've got another video to put out on Steppen too. I'm gonna try to get it out this afternoon. Love your face. All right. Sorry. Let me push play. Aw, you're so sweet.
Cameras are allowed in the courts of this state under certain guidelines. In order not to distract you, they will be located in designated areas of this courtroom. In the event any member of the jury is distracted by any member of the news media, you should immediately advise this court. This news media has been instructed not to film the jury or any member of the jury, whether it is the lawyer's opportunity to tell you what the lawyer expects the evidence to show. State opening.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So I did hear that. I have, what is this paper? The video I'm going to put out later today is the Osceola County Corrections Department Inmate Disciplinary Report. It's that checklist, and then it's got like all of the CO notes since he has been incarcerated, and that and the audio from the jail call is on my Patreon. I think all the jail calls are on there. If not, I'm going to make sure they get on there. I have all of the stuff from the Stearns case, like even court documents and things on my Patreon. I don't know if I have all the interviews. I need to get them on there, but I'm trying to come out with a merch line and trying to get all the Victoria Martens case done. I've just been so busy, but I've got to do that stuff. I really do. Yes, he gave out the pen to a phone. I can read it to you real quick. Give you a quick recap. It says, rule number and charge violated was loaning or stealing a property, telephone pen, or anything of value. Statement of facts. On the above dated approximate time, I was assigned as the Zone 1 and 2 supervisor. Upon beginning my shift, I was informed by Lieutenant Zumbrum that inmates Alamistica, Miguel, and Steppen Stearns violated policy. It was informed that inmate Alamistica was utilizing inmate Stearns' telephone pen to make several calls. It is a violation to use someone else's pen as well as loaning it out to another individual. After further investigation, it was discovered that the allegations were true. Inmate Alamistica made several telephone calls utilizing inmate Stearns' pen. Some calls lasting over 15 minutes. An inmate's telephone pen is created by the inmate, therefore no one else should have this information. Both individuals are isolated and kept on a strict protocol. Therefore, inmate Alamistica could have only received inmate Stearns' telephone pen from inmate Stearns. Both inmates will be issued a disciplinary report for sanction, loaning or stealing property, telephone pen, or anything of value. A copy of all the call logs will be attached to this report. But see, the thing is, Miguel Alamistica is in isolation cell 2, and Stephen Stearns is isolation cell 1. So I think they were in cells beside each other and somehow communicated. Yep. What? Why are you not proud? You should be proud. Okay, let me push play on this. I'll get that
And
video
Mr.
out
Grayson,
today.
if
Hey,
you need to
Michael.
turn the podium more, feel free to do so.
Thank you, Judge. May it please the court, counsel, members of the jury, good morning.
Top of the
For
morning to
most
ya.
children, their home is their safe place. For most children, a 10th birthday is something to be treasured. On August 23rd, 2016, Victoria Martens was at home on her 10th birthday. But she wasn't surrounded by her family, and she wasn't celebrating her birthday like she should have. She was at home with a virtual stranger. Her safe place had become one of grave danger, and her treasured birthday had terminated.
Yeah, in this trial, they are all wearing masks, and it really does suck because it's very muffled. That's why I just turned the captions on for you guys. Basil is here. He is on the bed. He's actually eating crackers right now. Kara said there was a pedophile in New York who did horrible things to his girlfriend's 3-year-old. Oh my God. When he was convicted with life without the possibility of parole, he lasted 2 weeks or less. I can't remember exactly how long. Well, we saw how Fabian got beat up in jail yesterday. Yeah, they do, Nicole. They really do. Jim Pop got him. This was 2022, so I think it was after COVID. Hold on, let me pull. I think it's July of 2022. Let's look. It was July of 2022. Fabian Gonzalez went to trial in July of 2022 and was found guilty of reckless child abuse resulting in death and tampering with evidence. He was sentenced to 37 and a half years in prison on October of 2022. And I remembered seeing, like, on the playlist, it tells you what days. It was like July 13th through the 20 something, I do believe. No, there was a video. Hold on, I'll pull it up real quick. We'll jump over there, but then I'll have to stay on task. So hold on. I did release an audio this morning that I had found. Okay, we're gonna go through it slow, but this is what happens to kids, not kids. This is what happens to people who hurt children in prison. This was Fabian Gonzalez. He comes out to use the phone. When it happens, I'll show you. It's going to be over here. This is a moving camera. When it happens, I'll slow it down so we can watch it a couple of times. Hold on, let me make sure y'all can see it. Yeah, y'all can see it. Okay. No, you're good. You're good. I kind of like watching it, even though I don't think he really did anything. It's like juicy drama. Okay, so this person right here is going to be beating him up, or that is him. I'm going to slow it down as slow as we can and watch this person right here. So he's not started yet. That might be Fabian. He's kind of bending down, but when it comes back, you can see, like, he is wailing on him. You see his fist going up and hitting him? Like, he is wailing on him. Now this person starts running. It takes a second too. Hey, Boomer. I speed it back up after this. Like this whole time, he's been wailing on him. He's still hitting him. All right. And then they've got him and he's down on the ground. And then they turn the lights back on because they realize that something's going on. There is no sound to it, by the way. It'll stop moving in just a second. Hey, Roxanne. Happy day, my. Aw, I'm glad you're happy. So there's the cops running up there. And then they got this person on the ground, handcuffing him. I couldn't tell if that was Fabian. Whoever that is, that's the person that was punching him. And it's titled, um, thank you, sweetheart. It's titled Fabian Gets Beat Up in Jail, basically. I appreciate that, Katia. Thank you so very much. I think we're almost at 12,000 now. That girl, I don't know. I need to try to pull it. So I'm going to try to pull the jail calls and things. I'm going to see if they'll give them to me. I don't know if they will or. Okay. Hold on. So
We'll see what.
let me see. Hello? 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 Hopefully y'all can hear me. I had to use the other mic. I don't know if it'll work or not, but I'm putting the trial back on. That was him getting beat up in jail. Yeah, technical issues. I've got to get another headset today. I'm going to get it today. I just got to. I'm going to have to replace it. Hopefully y'all can hear me. Okay, you can hear me? Okay. Thank you. This headset sucks, but I'm just going to have to get another one. And I hate to, but it's my fault. I should have kept it put up away from Basil. So I do apologize about my audio on this mic. This is like a really cheap one. This is like a really cheap one. But it should work for now. Thank you guys. Hey, Shraddha. And I appreciate y'all waiting and hanging out here. Y'all are like so patient with me. I can't express how much I appreciate that. One of the girls will be happy to get this because I'll let them have it for their stuff if they can, because it works part of the time. Joe Neal, yes, this went to trial in 2022. So we're starting with opening statements today. It's good to see you. Sounds clear and loud. Is it too loud? Let me know if it's too loud. Okay, it sounds really good. Does it sound better than my other one? Oh my goodness. Hey, Genevieve. All right. So, opening statements.
Their home is their safe place.
Really?
For most children, a 10th birthday is something to be treasured. On August 23rd,
Really?
2016,
Like really? Because my other one is like $100. This one's like 20. It's like the little headset. I think it's ONN at Walmart. It's like $21. That's really interesting because my other one is like $100 headphone set. Interesting. Well, isn't that something? Thank you guys for letting me know. Maybe I will just keep this one. It hurts my ears sometimes, so maybe I can figure that part out and just keep this one. Save myself some money. Okay. Sorry.
Victoria Martens was at home on her 10th birthday. But she wasn't surrounded by her family, and she wasn't celebrating her birthday like she should have. She was at home with a virtual stranger. Her safe place had become one of great danger, and her treasured birthday a terror. Victoria was murdered in her bedroom, her own bedroom, that evening. Someone deliberately placed their hands around her neck and strangled her.
Hey, little bit.
But she didn't go down without a fight. She scratched and she tried to scream. But the killer covered her mouth and overcame her struggle.
Okay.
This defendant did not personally strangle Victoria, but he created the danger that led to her death. And he didn't hesitate to tamper with the evidence of her murder. For the later part of that night, the defendant and his cousin, Jessica Kelly, tried to cover up their responsibility for the murder. They destroyed evidence by cleaning up the crime scene. They cut off Victoria's arms. They cut out her heart, and they cut out part of her liver. And then they wrapped these body parts in a garbage bag and put it by the front door for disposal. They cleaned the blood off Victoria's body, and they put towels in the washing machine and washed them. The defendant washed off the knives used to cut up Victoria's body. They threw Victoria's clothes in the trash in the kitchen. They cleaned up blood on the carpet in their bedroom. And they used water in the sink to do it, in the kitchen sink. During the course of cleaning up this crime scene, Jessica Kelly got Victoria's blood on her pants. The defendant left DNA on a towel in that washing machine with Victoria's blood. Their fingerprints were also found on out-of-place items in the apartment. Hers on a garbage bag, his on a mop. When they were done cleaning the bedroom, Victoria's mostly naked body was wrapped in a garbage bag and a sheet and carried buried in the bathtub. Jessica Kelly later lit the body on fire when police arrived. Despite the gruesome scene that it became, Victoria's home was not always a place of danger. At apartment 808 in the Arroyo Views apartments on the west side, Victoria had a relatively normal home life up until about 2 weeks before the murder. Her mom, Michelle, kept a clean apartment. She had collages with pictures of her kids. She had emergency numbers on the refrigerator and pictures drawn by the children. That summer, the summer before school started, Victoria and her brother swam at the apartment complex pool.
Okay, you'll have to let me know. You should. Hopefully you can hear me now. I said hey to Little Bit Elisa, Veronica, and Belladonna, and I was saying I was trying to turn it down so I wasn't like screaming in your ears because I'm a loud person anyway. But hopefully, I had to change it back. Hopefully, I'm not screaming in your ears. Hey, Abraham, and Hio, good to see you. Belladonna, I was trying to catch why you were upset. Um, I didn't quite catch it. I appreciate you caring about our country, though, for whatever it is that has upset you, and I'm sorry it's upset you. Oh, that's so cool, Abraham. Okay.
Victoria's neighbors had surgery. Victoria helped the neighbor carry things to her apartment and take care of the dogs. It's a fairly normal life, but things started to change when Michelle met the defendant on a dating app called Plenty of Fish at the end of July. Almost immediately, the defendant took control. He started driving Michelle's car, started driving her car while she was at work. He moved in. He bought Victoria a cat. He started using Michelle's phone. Essentially, he made the place his own. Neighbors described partying, people going in and out. And when his cousin, Jessica Kelly, got out of prison, he invited her to stay at the apartment. And without Michelle's knowledge, he charged her rent. Having Jessica Kelly stay in that apartment was danger number one for Victoria. The defendant knew that Jessica had a violent past, and he described her as an off-the-edge, off-the-chain kind of girl. Jessica moved in on a Thursday. It was the Thursday before the Tuesday when Victoria was murdered. She was only there for 6 days. In that short amount of time, she, like the defendant, took over. She started driving Michelle's car around, sometimes with the defendant.
Shraddha, thank you so much for the super sticker. That was so very sweet and supportive of you, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate that. Y'all are so sweet and supportive. I really appreciate y'all so much. I really do. Thank you so much. Hey, knocking all grannies out. Good to see you. My son-in-law is a Marine and being deployed to fight a war somewhere he don't even know yet. Oh, I'm so sorry, Belladonna. I'm so sorry, sweetheart.
She took selfies in Michelle's bed. She had her teenage kids come over and stay the night, only 2 days after she moved in. She invited a man over to the apartment late at night and had sex with him on a couch only steps away from Victoria and her brother in their rooms.
What? Why are we fornicating on the couch? Don't you have a room for that? Hey, Curious Christine. Good to see you. And thank you for your son's service. Belladonna, I appreciate that, but I'm sorry that that's happening. I hate that. I'm so sorry. I will keep you and him in my prayers.
Now, she lived there because she wanted to escape the judgment of her family. I'm going to walk you through the events of August 23rd. Starting with the events leading up to the murder, the circumstances of the murder, and the events that occurred afterward. And it started just after midnight, in the early morning hours of August 23rd. Michelle had gotten off work at Smith's about 10 p.m. She was home with Jessica and the defendant and Victoria. And the defendant sent a text to her and said, "Do you want to do a line of methamphetamine?" Michelle replied. But that meant there was more for the defendant and Jessica. For the rest of the day, Jessica was high and paranoid. Jessica's meth-fueled paranoia is something that you will hear for yourselves. There was a recorded phone call between Jessica and her sister only a couple of hours before the murder. You'll hear it for yourselves. And Jessica's meth-induced paranoia was danger number 2 for Victoria. The defendant knew she was paranoid. In fact, he tried to make her even more paranoid. Jessica had a boyfriend who went by the name of Sinner, and at the time he was in prison. And Jessica was convinced he was going to come to the apartment, even though he was in prison. The defendant didn't try to talk her out of that. Instead, he said, "Oh, I'm going to meet Sinner," whenever he was going out of the apartment.
Her boyfriend was legitimately like nicknamed Sinner. That's interesting. I wonder if we found Sinner's DNA. Interesting.
The defendant didn't stop at inviting into the apartment the combined dangers of a violent person on a thought-altering drug. He also removed the protection provided to Victoria by her mother. For most of the day, most of the afternoon and evening, you'll see evidence that the defendant took Michelle away from the apartment. It started in the early afternoon when the defendant took her to his uncle's house. And while they were there, they made a run to the liquor store and bought Fireball. And remember, this was Victoria's 10th birthday. Michelle was away from home. She was trying to please the defendant, but she was still worried about Victoria. She called Jessica before they left. And while she was gone, she kept worrying. She tried to send a text to a neighbor. She said, "Can you go and watch my apartment? Can you knock on the door and make sure everything's okay?" Shortly after, a couple minutes after that text, she asked her parents if they could pick up Victoria from the bus. But then quickly changed her mind and said, "No, never mind. I got it." About an hour later, she sent a text to Jessica Kelly saying, "Can you make sure you get her at the bus? Please make sure you get her at the bus." And a half hour later, she sent a text to Jessica saying, "Did you get Victoria?" No response. No response to either text. Well, Jessica didn't get her from the bus. She didn't let her into the apartment. Victoria had to go to a neighbor's home. And the neighbor contacted Michelle, said, "Victoria's here." So Michelle and the defendant went back to the apartment. By the time they got there, Jessica had let Victoria in. This is about 5 p.m., about 3 hours before the murder. While they were at the apartment, they spent about an hour there. That was the only time that afternoon and evening that Michelle spent with her daughter on her 10th birthday. Jessica, during this time, she was still paranoid. In fact, this is the time period where you'll hear that phone call with her sister. She also gave Victoria money, a substantial amount of money, supposedly for her birthday. But the defendant took Victoria into a bathroom, got the money back. And he took that money and went to the giant station nearby and took Victoria with him. And he bought her a soda, and he bought himself some vodka. When they got back to the apartment, about 6:30 p.m., this is about 90 minutes before the murder. Immediately, he took Michelle away.
He said this when they got back to the apartment at about 6. I don't know if he said 6 or 6:30. Dang, I need to find out. Hold on. Let me back it up just a smidge. He said this was about 30 minutes before the murder. So she was, I'm going to take it back to 23:54.
And he bought her a soda, and he bought himself some vodka. When they got back to the apartment, about 6:30 p.m., this is about 90 minutes before the murder.
So 6:30 p.m. was an hour and a half before the murder. So that means that she was killed at about 8 o'clock that night. Interesting. Miss Scorpio Rising, thank you so much for gifting 5 Speculation Station memberships. That was so very sweet and supportive of you, and I appreciate that so very much. Let me see who those went to. Hold on just a minute. Okay. Those went to Wolf Spirit, Miss Mo, John and Kendra, Christy Ledger, and Nicole. If you were gifted from Miss Scorpio Rising and you are aware you were gifted, please tell Miss Scorpio Rising thank you. And I will grab the crazy train and pick y'all up on the way to Speculation Station. Thank you so very much, Miss Scorpio Rising. That was so sweet of you. I really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much for the support. Angela said, he said Victoria got money from Jessica and then Jessica took it back, or Fabian took it to buy drinks. So yeah, he said she got a substantial amount of money from Jessica, and then Fabian took it from her and took her to buy a soda, and then bought also a bottle of vodka from the gas station. I guess this might be an area where they have vodka in the gas station. But he had bought Fireball earlier when him and Michelle went to the uncle's house, and he noticed that that Victoria had a substantial amount of money. He was asking her where she got it. She said Jessica. He took Victoria to the store, got her a Coca-Cola, and got him a bottle of vodka. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird to me too. Their birthday and money and grown-ups, and it's always on the birthdays. I don't. Yeah, she got a Coke with her money. It was pitiful. Yeah, it was probably like some daggum Burnett's or something. Ugh. And then you're gonna mix that with Fireball? Good Lord. Yuck. Like, I don't drink anyway, but I couldn't imagine. That's got to be awful.
Immediately, he took Michelle away. They went to his brother's house to get marijuana, and they left Victoria with Jessica, even though Jessica had not picked Victoria up from the bus. They were gone for a short time to the brother's house, and then they went to Smith's to buy cigarettes. And came home with the cigarettes for Jessica. But again, they didn't stay. They dropped out the cigarettes, Jessica yelled at them for being the wrong ones. They didn't go inside to check on Victoria. They just left. This time, they went to a different brother's house for a different drug, methamphetamine. And this time, they took their time. They were gone almost 2 hours, until 8:48 p.m.
So they were definitively at the other brother's house getting methamphetamine when the homicide occurred. So this has given us a good idea of the timeline. Hey, Jennifer, good to see you. So they went to a different brother's house to get methamphetamine. Were gone about 2 hours, and that puts them getting back at about 8:48 p.m. And the homicide was committed around 8 p.m. Oh, yay, Sam. I'm so glad you did that. Bellis, I'm so glad to see you. Thank you for being here. I want to talk to you. I want to cover the 2 children that are missing in Nova Scotia. And I'm going to email you about it later because I want to talk to you about it. I know, I was wondering where Bellis was, our lovely Bellis. Okay.
Taking Michelle away from that apartment, that was danger number 3 for Victoria. Victoria was murdered during their battle. Now, both the murder and the cleanup of the apartment in this case, that occurred behind closed doors. But Jessica was there the whole time. In fact, this was a very different day for Jessica. She had been released from prison the week before. Every day she had been out. Since she had been released, she was all over the city. At all times of day. You'll see her movements through an analysis of her phones and her Google data. She was everywhere. But starting the evening of the 22nd, right before they did that line of methamphetamine, starting then, till the police arrived, the early morning hours of August 24th, she didn't leave the apartment, not once. Now Jessica is going to testify. And she'll be able to tell you about what happened in that apartment between the cigarette exchange at 7 p.m. when Michelle and the defendant went to his brother's house, at 8:48 p.m. when they returned. She'll tell you that at first she thought Victoria was with them. She didn't even know she was there. Turned out
Okay, I'm going to back this up because I didn't catch that last part. I'm trying to kind of break it down for you guys as we listen. I backed it up a little bit. Angela said, okay, so if she, Jessica Kelly, gave her a lot of money and didn't realize, and when she got back from the Giant, Jessica Kelly asked for it back and she doesn't have it because Fabian took it, possible motive. That could be. Very well could be. Yeah. I didn't even think about that. Good speculation, Angelina. I saw that Megan came in. Thank you for being here. And anybody else that came in, thank you for being here. Curious Christine, thank you so very much for the support. I appreciate that. Y'all are so sweet. My goodness, thank you so very much. She says, thanks for amazing coverage and commentary. Love it here. I love it here too. Yes. Yes, thank you. I love it here too. Aw, you guys are so sweet. I enjoy talking about these things with you guys. She said, then he spends it on substances and gets hit with the iron. Very possible. Yeah, because if that makes a lot of sense because that could be why he went to the cousin's house or his brother's house to get the methamphetamine after they went to the gas station because he finally had enough money to do it. Because if he had money to begin with, then he wouldn't have bought the vodka with Victoria's money, and they probably would have got the methamphetamine when they were getting the weed. Interesting. Because I know, like, a lot of times, if you don't, like, if he didn't have enough money to buy enough methamphetamine, he would have bought some weed because, like, to calm him down. But then later, he got the money to buy the meth, so he went and bought the meth because he took it from Victoria. Jessica wants it back. She doesn't have it. Yeah, makes sense. It makes sense. I saw somebody else said something too. Belladonna said, especially since the mom left the dad and blocked him on everything. Oh yeah, that case is crazy. Okay. Oh, I love our speculating family. You're from Vancouver? Well, thank you for watching. I want to go up to British Columbia and Nova Scotia and all of that. Yep, unfortunately, Lisa Lynn, it happens a lot. I could see it definitely happening. All right, I'm going to try to hear what he says this time. Let me mute.
But Jessica was there the whole time. In fact, this was a very different day for Jessica. She had been released from prison the week before. Every day she had been out. Since she had been released, she was all over the city. At all times of day. You'll see her movements through an analysis of her phone and her Google data. She was everywhere.
So he's saying that Jessica Kelly had just been released from prison, and every other day except for this day, she was out all over the city, running around, being free from prison and just running around everywhere, evidently.
But starting the evening of the 22nd, right before they did that line in methamphetamine, starting then, till the police arrived, the early morning hours of August 24th, she didn't leave the apartment, not once. Now Jessica is going to testify, and she'll be able to tell you about what happened in that apartment between the cigarette exchange at 7 p.m. when Michelle and the defendant went to his brother's house, and 8:48 p.m. when they returned. She'll tell you that at first she thought Victoria was with them. She didn't even know she was there. Turned out Victoria was outside playing by herself, so Jessica had her come inside, talk to some neighbors along the way. And Jessica was still paranoid. But she gave Victoria snap, and Victoria did her homework and went to her room. Jessica will tell you that at that point, a man came into the apartment and asked for the defendant.
Okay, so far she's saying that Jessica had been all over the city except for this day. She stayed in the apartment because she was basically on methamphetamine and paranoid, and that Victoria was outside playing, but because Jessica was so paranoid, she had Victoria come inside. Victoria came inside, had a snack, did homework, and went to her room. And now is when this unknown male enters. Hey, Lisa, watching from Wales. Oh, this story is heartbreaking, and thank you for the kind words. I want to go to Wales, too. I want to go all over the place. Y'all are so sweet.
She told him it's just me and the girl, and pointed towards Victoria's room. Jessica will tell you that she thought this man looked like he knew the apartment, that he belonged there, and he looked casual. The man went straight back to Victoria's room. Jessica decided to go to the balcony and smoke a cigarette. She'll tell you that unbeknownst to her, the man killed Victoria. And then he told her to clean up the mess.
So, Jessica's story is a man came in looking for Fabian, acted like he knew the apartment. She went out to smoke a cigarette, and then while she was out on the balcony smoking a cigarette, this man committed the homicide of Victoria and told her to clean up the mess. I don't believe that for a damn second. Not for 1 minute do I believe that. You just happen to be outside smoking a cigarette while this mystery person comes in and commits this horrific homicide, and then they tell you to clean it up, and you're just going to clean it up? Absolutely not.
Now here's the frustrating part. We're not going to be able to tell you who this man is. Jessica didn't recognize him. The neighbors, they didn't see him going around. We are going to be able to show you though. DNA evidence that corroborates a male killing Victoria. Male DNA was located on various places on Victoria's body. Some of it was unidentified. Some of it was too little to compare. Insufficient for comparison. But that DNA was located on her neck, on her fingernails, and on her back, as well as other places. So after the man was there, after he told Jessica to clean up the mess, Jessica panics. She wraps the body in a blanket. She waits for the defendant and Michelle to come out. She hears the defendant's signature blaring music outside.
So she wraps Victoria up in a blanket and she hears them pulling up and they're blaring music outside. But Edith had a good point. Edith said if she was so paranoid, she wouldn't have let anyone in, especially a stranger. And that's exactly right. She had Victoria come inside from playing because she was so paranoid. She's not letting anybody in that house, especially a stranger. There was unknown male DNA. That was the only DNA found on Victoria. But I think she knows who it was. She let somebody in. Probably, maybe somebody bringing her more dope or something. Yep. I have not seen the new Pope yet. Yeah, the police interrogations were brutal.
So she cradles the body in her arms. And boldly, in front of neighbors, this is 8:48 p.m. on August 23rd. Neighbors outside, kids outside playing. She cradles the body, wrapped in a blanket, and carries her downstairs to Michelle's car.
Mr. Grayson, sorry to interrupt. Can you just speak a little bit louder for our record, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
I apologize. So she carried the body down to the car, and neighbors.
Maybe we'll be able to hear better now. Stephanie and Dustin Gonzalez, thank you for being here. I'm glad you made a lab as well. I appreciate that. Oh my God, I couldn't either. Abraham, don't get in trouble. The Pope is from Chicago? For real? Huh. Interesting. Veronica said, it's amazing how these awful stories kind of get similar to many extents. It's awful. It does. And it's crazy. Nicole said she did carry her down. That part is so confusing to me. Yeah, it is confusing. I think it was the substances, like she was high and just did it. I don't know. Like, and that would make me think, well, maybe somebody did come in and commit the homicide, and she was like, what do? I don't know what to do, like, with this deceased child that I'm holding because she was hot. But then I'm like, it just doesn't make sense. Yeah, I wish you would take that mask off, too. First American Pope. Interesting. Oh yeah, Nicole, I said it earlier, but I can't remember. It was either Cindy from sunny South Florida or Mrs. Scorpio Rising. I do believe.
Neighbors will tell you that she said something to Michelle and the defendant. And then she went back up into the apartment. The neighbors will tell you that they thought Victoria was asleep. They'll also tell you that they thought Michelle and the defendant looked hot. They didn't follow Jessica back in. They stayed and listened to a few songs. Eventually they went back into the apartment. But they didn't check on Victoria. They didn't give her dinner.
Very possible.
They didn't sing her happy birthday. Michelle and the defendant made some tacos for the two of them and Jessica. And then Michelle went to bed. Now Jessica will tell you that during this time, she pulled the defendant aside and she told him what happened. And he didn't react like a responsible, normal, uninvolved person. and called the police. He told her, we'll take turns distracting Michelle and keeping her in her bedroom, and we'll get rid of the body.
Justine, if I called you Jennifer, I do apologize. I'm seeing that it's Justine now. Justine said, damn, I have to read this trial, and no doubt, I hate that the volume kind of sucks. I'm going to try not to highlight so much so that we can read the transcripts. But yeah, that unfortunately, it's the best I got. I'm trying to provide recaps as much as I can, because it is hard to hear.
Well, together, they nearly succeeded in cleaning up that crime scene. You'll hear from a medical examiner who will tell you that the amount of blood at that crime scene does not match the amount of blood that would have come from that little girl. They were good at cleaning it up, but not good enough. You'll see pictures, photos, of Victoria's room, and a carpet in her room in front of her bed. Here's the carpet, right in front of her bed. Meticulously clean, but not underneath. Blood on the padding. You'll see pictures of the washed knives used to cover up, put back in the knife block. Again, not good enough, because Victoria's flesh was on the hilt of the knife. And of course her body, wrapped in that garbage bag, wrapped in that sheet, and placed in the bathtub, but still there. Not filled out. And we know Victoria was strangled. We wish we could identify the hands that were on her neck. But this case is not about who strangled Victoria or why they did it. And whatever role you think Jessica Kelly had in the homicide, this case is about the defendant creating a danger that resulted in Victoria's death, and his participation in covering up that crime. You'll hear layer by layer how he did it. You'll hear that he took advantage of Michelle's needy, passive personality. He used her money, he used her home, he used her car, all to suit the needs of his lifestyle.
I mean, I have to agree that he did kind of create the environment for this to happen by letting Jessica Kelly stay at the house. I don't think he ever thought in his wildest dreams that what would happen, that what happened would happen. But if it hadn't been for him and letting Jessica Kelly stay there, I don't think this would have ever happened. So I do have to agree with that. Hey, Sherry. Good to see you. And Indian Taco, good to see you.
About how he transformed Michelle from an attentive mother to a negative one. And in fact, Michelle knew he was bad. She hid his very existence from her parents, who lived nearby in order to take care of the kids.
Now,
You also hear evidence that
he just said that the parents lived close by in order to take care of the kids. I know they were from New York, but I thought they still lived in New York. Oh, really? I'll have to check that out. Maybe we can look at it on the live. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. We'll have to look at it when we get done listening to opening statements.
the defendant anticipated that something bad would happen at that point. Because even he didn't feel safe there. In the days leading up to Victoria's murder, he searched the internet on his phone to buy a gun. He used Michelle's phone the next day to do the same search. He wanted a gun in that apartment. Now, on the day of the murder, of course, as we talked about, he was barely home at all. He kept dragging Michelle away to one relative's house or another, only just to then have her wait in the car. So why is she going with him if she's waiting in the car? He used meth, marijuana, drank alcohol. He knew Victoria, he knew Jesse was high.
So you said, hold on, I'm trying to find the comment. I think it was Indian Taco who said, your jaw will drop when you read this article. So when you said that, I had to pull it, so we're going to look at it. Oh, yeah. Your jaw will drop. So I was like, okay, now you got me curious. So let's see this article that you sent me. Hold on, just a minute. Let's pull it up. Excuse me. I was eating some lunch. Okay. Let me make sure y'all can see it. I'll put it big. Unfortunately, I can't make the like commercial things go away. I try to. That stuff aggravates me, but okay. So it says man suspected of trying to kiss Victoria Martens was accused in a kidnapping case. And this is from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Hold on, we got a thingy here. Hold on. Let's listen to this real quick.
Police had a report that one of Michelle Martens' boyfriends had tried to kiss her then 9-year-old daughter Victoria in the months leading up to her murder. News 13's Jessica Garatay on special assignment has uncovered who that man is and what APD would have uncovered about him had they acted. Jessica?
Dean, APD told us they didn't think the kissing incident was worth investigating. But Victoria Martens' grandparents say had they looked into it, they would have found it was this man, the same man accused of trying to kidnap a little girl off the streets.
She was dating David Hernandez.
Through their attorney, John and Pat Martin say their daughter Michelle was living with this man, David Hernandez, 5 months before the murder of 10-year-old Victoria.
She did what she could as a small child to tell adults, help. She basically said, help me.
March 2016, a family friend tells us she called CYFD after Victoria said Hernandez kissed her.
So I thought it was Michelle that made that report, but evidently not. It was a family friend. And I wonder why. Why didn't Victoria think she could tell Michelle that? Or did Michelle know and not say anything? Did she think her mama wouldn't believe her? And why didn't I call it DSS or CPS, why didn't they do anything? Like, I understand handing it over to the police, but, like, they failed, in my opinion. They failed. Yeah, and this is interesting. Kidnapping? The ex-boyfriend kidnapping? Really?
YFD turned the tip over to Albuquerque police, who never investigated.
An adult man kissing a young girl, and that's dismissed as not important to investigate? I mean...
What? I thought they said... We did see where they said it wasn't illegal, but you didn't even look into it? What the hell?
To me, that's shocking. But then if you go further and know what they knew in their own files, they would have been able to connect it and say, this guy is a pedophile.
Attorney Jason Bowles says had police bothered investigating, they would have found they arrested Hernandez in 2013. Police say he snatched a little girl from a parking lot, led her mother and officers on a long chase, later crashing. He let the girl go. He was arrested.
The APD dropped the ball.
Earlier this month, the Martens filed a lawsuit against the city. Right after Victoria's death last August, Michelle Martens would tell detectives Hernandez had raped Victoria.
It's our information that he was sexually assaulting Victoria, not just kissing her. And that's something APD should have found out, should have investigated, and taken Victoria out of the home.
Bowles suspects APD discovered who he was after the murder and kept it quiet since.
Do you think they know that it was David Hernandez, the same David Hernandez?
I strongly believe that they knew, that they know, and that's why they've lied to the public.
APD and the mayor's office would not go on camera, but the mayor's chief of staff says APD, including Chief Gordon Eden, had no idea it was David Hernandez until today, and says police chose not to investigate the report of the kiss because Michelle had told CYFD she had kicked her boyfriend out, a boyfriend she never named at the time. 5 months later, police would charge Martens, her boyfriend, and his cousin with the rape and murder of Victoria.
They absolutely could have prevented her death.
Now, of course, 2 APD spokespeople are accused of changing their stories about how the department handled the investigation into the kiss. The city says the FBI has been investigating Hernandez and another man to see if what kind of contact they had with Victoria. Dean?
All right, thanks, Jess. So what happened to that kidnapping case against Hernandez? The DA's office dropped the charges in 2015 after failing to get evidence to Hernandez's attorney in time. He would go on to cause more trouble. In April, he is accused of fleeing from a deputy.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Jack, Fiddler Roofing.
No. Stop. Okay. That was really interesting. Let me see what the trial says. It says, well, I mean, okay. David Hernandez kidnaps a little girl, takes the police on a high-speed chase, and then gives the girl back. And even after that, Michelle Martens has him in the house with Victoria. I think that's definitely who gave her HPV, and who had been sodomizing and raping her. I think that he should have definitely been in prison, under the prison. I mean, it gets worse. It's absolutely infuriating. I can say that I don't think that he's the one who committed the homicide, because I would think that his DNA would be on file. But then you hear about how, you know, the police didn't even look into this kissing situation, and the kidnapping charges had to be dropped because papers weren't given to his lawyer in time. Like, everybody's just dropping the ball left and right around here, and I'd heard rumors about the ball being dropped in this case specifically as well. So you would think that, like, they have his DNA on file, but I mean, that does make me question it a little bit. Wow, that is crazy. Thank you for sharing that with us, Indian Taco. Oh, hold on, I got the wrong one pulled up. I appreciate you sharing that with us. I didn't think it could get any worse, but evidently it does. Okay. Michael said, "Rest in peace, Victoria. These people are monsters, and her life was unspeakable." Yeah. And that's another good point. That girl says, how does Michelle know so many chomos? Really, what are the odds? That's a good point. I don't know, and that's one thing I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know. It's crazy. Like, it's not coincidence that you know this many child molesters. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't think so, but, you know, I mean, again, it's just not coincidence, so she's got to be asking some kind of questions, whether intentionally or not, I don't know. Yeah, man, this is so sad. Thank you again, Indian Taco, for sharing that with us, because I had no idea. Something is way off, I agree. Abraham said police in New Mexico seem to overlook serious statements and feed a suspect to the answer during an interrogation. I agree with that. Indian said, I think he gave her HPV, and I cannot believe he wasn't charged due to paperwork. The police department needs to be sued as well, in my opinion. Yep, I agree. I agree. They probably know stepping stars. I hope not. Michelle should not have custody. She should have never had custody of. She should have never had custody of Victoria. She's just not cognitively able, in my opinion. And I still, like I said, can't figure out how she knows all these chomos. That's not just coincidence.
Over and over and over. The defendant and Michelle left Victoria in Jessica's care. Even when she showed she wasn't capable of taking care of Victoria.
Louder, Mr. Grayson.
Yes, Your Honor. Now, I told you about male DNA on Victoria's body. Well, there's also male DNA. You'll see evidence of male DNA on important items at the crime scene. This is a wipes container in Victoria's room. And those wipes were used to clean blood off her body. There's also male DNA on the knife that was used to cut her up. But the apartment wasn't the only thing cleaned that day. Because after dismembering Victoria and cleaning up the blood on the carpet, neither the defendant nor Jessica Kelly had Victoria's blood on their hands. Now you're going to see phone evidence in this case.
Wait a minute.
There's extensive forensic examination of several digital devices. Dismembering Victoria and cleaning up the blood on the carpet, neither the defendant nor Jessica Kelly had Victoria's blood on their hands.
Neither Fabian or Jessica had Victoria's blood on their hands. So does that mean Michelle did? Abraham said she would probably send them that picture with Victoria in makeup. Oh, maybe. That's possible. Thank you, Miss Scorpio, for the trigger warning. And Bad Girl, thank you also for the trigger warning. It could have been to prove something out of Fabian, or provoke something, yeah.
Now you're going to see phone evidence.
Really?
In this case. There's extensive forensic examination of several digital devices, including the defendant's phone, Michelle's phone, Jessica's phone. There are Google data which shows their GPS location. And you will see evidence that the defendant was on his phone at that time. He wasn't asleep. You'll also see evidence from the phones that both he and Michelle left the apartment during the course of that night. Now, apartment 808 is a very small apartment. 3 bedrooms, but it's only about approximately 1,000 square feet. Someone doesn't do anything in that apartment without the others in the apartment knowing about it. But it's hard in the abstract to get an idea of how small that apartment is. You'll get a chance to go to the apartment and see it for yourselves. You'll get to see how small that apartment is and how hard it would be for someone to not know about hours of cleaning up a crime scene with blood. That scene visit will give you context for the rest of the evidence in this case. There's one more event we need to talk about that happened that night. Because after the crime scene had been cleaned up, something else happened. The neighbors will tell you that they heard a fight between the 3 adults in the apartment. Jessica admits this. She'll admit to you that Michelle found out that Victoria was dead, and she didn't react. That made Jessica mad. Jessica grabbed a clothing iron and hit Michelle on the forehead. She'll admit that. But this wasn't just a quick fight. The neighbors heard the fight start and stop, and start and stop. They heard the defendant and Jessica Kelly out on the balcony talking. And then during the course of the fight, Jessica, as I mentioned, told Michelle that her daughter was dead. What did the defendant and Michelle do? They left. They left the apartment. The defendant told Michelle outside the apartment that she better be quiet because she's going to wake up the neighbors. Not once did they try to go back in that apartment to check on Victoria, much less protect her. They went to a neighbor's home to call the police and report the battery that Jessica had committed against them. But even that's not, everything is not as it seems there either. Because while they were at their neighbors, the defendant took his sock off, and Michelle took her socks off, and they threw them in the neighbor's trash. You'll see lapel video from the first responding officers in this case. You'll be able to hear the story from Michelle and the defendant when they first told it. And you'll hear the defendant deny any knowledge of what had happened to Victoria, at least at first. Then he later admits that he did know Victoria was dead. And he did see Jessica stabbing at the body. He saw it, but he didn't do it. And he just didn't want to admit it right away. He said he could feel Jessica getting rid of the body. So you'll decide for yourselves what the defendant did to Victoria before and after her murder. I'm not going to lie to you, this is a complicated case. There are a lot of witnesses. There's a lot of evidence for you to consider.
Hey, Jade, I saw that Kit Kat K-Bid. Kit Kat said, remember, it's not the makeup that's the problem, it's the pedophiles. Yeah, no doubt. Mine don't really wear makeup either. I know a lot of people don't let their kids, and yeah, I mean, you know, I let them play with makeup, but like they can't wear it out. But it is a shame that children can't wear makeup if they want to, and it is because of people. We have to worry about other people. It's not the child we're really worried about, it's other people. Because like I said, I'm sure like a lot of you, like I'll let the kids play with makeup, but they don't wear it out of the house. And that is sad. Hey, horse lover. Yep, I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that we're all fine, good-hearted people hanging out. Yes, Miss Scorpio pointed out that you have to remember that opening statements are not facts. They have to prove it in the trial. Absolutely. Absolutely. All I ever heard about this case was the main headlines, and now that I've dug in, my whole theory has changed. Right, that was my issue with it too, because like you hear just the headlines and you're like, wait a minute, that don't quite make sense.
But this case comes down to two simple things. The defendant created a danger that resulted in Victoria's death, and he cleaned up the crime scene to cover up his responsibility for her murder. Once all of the evidence is presented, the state will ask you to find, beyond a reasonable doubt, that the defendant is guilty of reckless child abuse resulting in death, tampering with evidence, and conspiracy to commit tampering with evidence. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Defense, opening.
Thank you, Judge. Can you hear me?
We're going to need you to speak a little bit louder.
So this is the defense. I'm going to kind of try to break it down and things like that for you too.
Oh my God, just a snitch. Speak very loud, thank you.
Yeah.
Nobody saw this coming. And can we take that down or can we get it going? But nobody saw it. What we need to do is to really understand that fact. We need to back up not 2 weeks when Fabian and Michelle started dating, but 1 week when Jessica was released from prison. She got a bus to Albuquerque. Her best friend, Cherie Varela, picked her up with her kids. They went to the dentist. Jessica babysat for her.
Hey, Southern Cats. So he said 2 weeks earlier. Hold on a minute. I'm going to back this up just a second because it sounded like he said 2 weeks earlier Jessica was babysitting while she took the kids to the dentist, but Jessica just got out of prison 7 days earlier.
Nobody saw this coming. And can we take that down or? But nobody saw it. What we need to do is to really understand that fact. We need to back up not 2 weeks when Fabian and Michelle started dating, but 1 week when Jessica was released from prison. She got a bus to Albuquerque. Her best friend, Cherie Varela, picked her up with her kids. They went to the dentist. Jessica babysat for her. Jessica went to see her mom. And things were looking really good for her. She was renewing all of her old friendships and her family and her old friends. Lori Beck, Carolyn Armijo, Roxanne Cordova, all young women her age who had children. Many of them relied on her to babysit their kids because she was really good with kids.
Could you imagine being one of those people now, knowing that you had Jessica Kelly babysit your kids because she was your friend, and then you find out that this happens? Wow.
And she had no history of violence before what happened.
Bullshit!
The first night she stayed.
No, sir. Sir.
What? A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit. A bullshit.
What is the charge with her and the girl in the prison? I'm going to need you to take 15 seats.
With her son at her friend Lori's house. Then her mom for 2 nights, back to Lori. Things going on, especially with her 2 children. She landed a job at Church's Chicken starting the following Wednesday. And that was the same place where her friend Lori worked. On Saturday afternoon, she and her mom watched her son Mondo, who was a middle schooler, play football, YAFL football. His team won. Saturday night, she had a sleepover with her 2 kids and Victoria and Michelle and Fabian.
Yeah, he's talking about Jessica right now. About how good she is with kids. She had no history of violence. Sir, are we in a parallel universe right now? Because, yeah, your pants should be catching on fire. He's going to say she's only been in trouble for singing too loud in church. If he does, I will literally fall out. Angela said, I meant to say that 2012 case couldn't be the mop situation since it was against a child and no children in prison. I think it was a woman. I don't know that she did have some kind of sexual contact with a minor, and I don't know where that charge is at. I couldn't find it, but I think the mop is from where she assaulted somebody in prison. That wasn't a child.
And everybody had fun. It was a sleepover, the kids. To Michelle and Fabian, Jessica was doing pretty good. I mean, there were problems, but she was good with kids. She could be trusted. And she renewed her friendship, obviously, with Fabian. Now, they were cousins who had lived in middle school with their grandma together for a couple of years. Jessica remembers Fabian facing a bully and saying to his brothers that he belonged to a tagger group, but to her it was all total nonsense. After middle school, they went their separate ways. One of Fabian's brothers joined the Marines, the other the Army. Jessica got pregnant, had Destiny, and then when she turned 18, she had her second son, Mondo. she got involved as a young adult selling drugs to pay for her own addiction. And by her own account, she's been in and out of prison since the age of 18. Now, Fabian and most of his relatives and most of her relatives kind of fell out of touch with her. He, for one, never visited her. They never wrote. She never called.
I was wondering the exact same thing, bad girl. Why? What does this have to do with Victoria and Fabian's case and all of that?
But now she was out and doing good. Jessica's friends scheduled a barbecue for Sunday, which is just 2 days before this happened. Fabian went there, got into a fight with another cousin, Amanda, who punched him in the eye. He left the party embarrassed and angry, texting Amanda, but nothing really happened. It's true he looked up on the internet, how do you buy a gun? But he didn't buy a gun.
So I had heard the news say that the black eye was not from that night getting hit with the iron, that it was from a previous incident. And hearing him talk about this barbecue where he got punched in the eye, I think that's where the black eye came from, that Fabian sports in all of the pictures. Matt said thank you, and he will do his very best. Semper Fi. Aw, that's so sweet. I'm definitely going to keep him in my prayers. I keep thinking I'm hearing Jessica's trial, but it's not. Just because Jessica's trial, it's his trial, right? Surprised he didn't say her great-grandfather served honorably in World War II. It would not have surprised me to hear that. I mean, but why are we building Jessica up on Fabian's trial?
None of that really has anything to do with what happened. But what does have something to do is Jessica left the party with a friend. With hindsight, that was the first sign of trouble. Now on Monday, Jessica saw her uncle, got him to pay her $20 for her EBT card. And it's true that night, which was not the day of, but the night, the previous night, she offered Fabian a line of meth. But when Michelle said no, and what happened is she offered Fabian texts Michelle in the other room, you want to do a line with Jessica. Michelle said no, she doesn't do drugs, and she never has.
Very possible. Abraham said maybe so that she doesn't blame him when she testifies. Very possible. Stephanie, I think it's because they defend people we don't like, but it is really easy to dislike the defense attorneys. Absolutely. Miss Scorpio said, wow, this guy. Shraddha said, wow, I don't think I've come into contact with so many dangerous peeps in 59 years. No doubt. It's all about people, places, and things. That picture looks fresh, though, not from 4 days before. That black eye was new. It does look fresh. Unless somebody really got him real bad, it did look pretty fresh.
It's true that some neighbors thought maybe they were high on meth, but that's not true. She didn't do drugs, and even Jessica will admit that Michelle didn't do drugs, and Jessica didn't do drugs in the house. It wasn't allowed. This was Michelle's house. Tuesday, Victoria's birthday.
Thank you, Divine Rain. That makes a lot of sense. Divine Rain said because he was being charged for leaving Victoria with Jessica that night. And that's exactly it. He's laying out why Fabian didn't think it would be an issue to leave Victoria with Jessica. Thank you for pointing that out. That I would think that's definitely it. We will know if they took a lie detector test. I would think so. I think it'll be mentioned. Abraham said, we go hard on the defense, but I don't judge them because I know they have a duty. When they go hard on the victim, that's when I side-eye, right? Tom said he should get used to having black eyes. No doubt. No doubt. Yeah.
And sadly, her last day on earth. The morning was filled with hope and joy and happiness. Victoria woke up getting ready for school.
And little pink ponies and rainbows and sugar cookies with sprinkles. All of the things. Ice cream and cherries on top.
This rough and tumble tomboy was excited about seeing her schoolmates. Her mom lost count how many times a school nurse called about a cut knee or a scraped elbow or a big bump from the playground. One older boy you'll hear from will say she was an alpha girl, but everybody knew Victoria was happy and she looked forward to getting back to school. Now her activity is important because of that DNA, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. That morning, Victoria did not take a shower, but she fixed food for her new kitten Reese that Fabian had bought for her. She's got a sketch of Reese hanging proudly on the refrigerator door. And you'll read a card or a letter that she wrote to her mom's new boyfriend, Fabian. I really like you, but don't forget the zoo, because he had promised they would go to the zoo. As the state admits, Michelle...
So that is the letter. There was a letter that they reference Victoria wrote to Fabian. So that's the letter Victoria wrote to Fabian saying, I really like you, but don't forget the zoo, because he had promised to take her to the zoo. Sean and Divine Rain, it's good to see you both, and thank you so much for being here. It's 2022 when this takes place, so I don't know. Here come the stories from her kindergarten teacher any moment, right? Wait, one Sunny Day said, I hope that black eye came from Victoria with what he let happen to her. Yeah.
Was a good mom, attentive. When her former boyfriend went into Victoria's room at night, or that's what she was told, he was sent packing immediately. And Victoria was checked by a doctor. Michelle kept a clean home, a single mom, her own car, her own job, her own 3-bedroom apartment. Unlike Jessica, who had 3 felonies, now 4, or the defendant, who had some misdemeanor convictions, Michelle had 0 criminal history. She'd never done drugs, though she did get intoxicated on the night in question. Michelle and Jessica got along well until the last day or so. 2 single moms, each struggling to raise an older son and a younger daughter. Michelle baked a tray of cupcakes for Victoria to bring to school on her birthday, and they planned to have a birthday party the next day. And that played a role in what happened in terms of Victoria asking all of the neighbor kids and adults to come to her party. Things were looking good for Fabian too. His brother Joseph, an electrical contractor, and their older brother Stephen, who owned a plumbing business and a general contract license, they were going to hire Fabian as an unskilled laborer. He was low on funds, and he was so excited. That afternoon, he fixed a car window for Michelle and her car, though he shoplifted the motor. Not a good fact, but things were looking up.
How do you shoplift a motor? I would love to know how that happened. Jade said, couldn't even give her a birthday on the day of her birthday. Makes me so mad. Veronica said she's the next Mother Teresa. Abraham said, Jessica and Michelle were even heading to Girl Scouts, sir. You're doing too much. Yup. Angela said, I know he's just doing his job, but he's pissing me off. He's kind of irritating the shit out of me, too.
That afternoon, Victoria was still at school when Michelle and he left to visit his family. They were going to talk about the job offer, and he was hoping maybe he could get a little lead from his brother. But there's no meth exchange. Nobody's going to say that. Indeed, the people who examined Michelle and Fabian and Jessica shortly after this, there was only one person that looked high on drugs. The other two were alert and sober. Now, so they go to visit the family. Jessica's supposed to pick up Victoria at the school bus. You've heard that. Don't be late to the bus stop and walk her straight home. But Jessica forgot. Victoria walked home with the mother of another of the kids, and that mother texted Michelle, and Michelle was furious. You know, I told this woman we've had these other problems. I don't think Michelle knew about Jessica having a boyfriend over one of the nights, but there were other things. This was the final straw. Either your cousin gets out of here or you're getting out of here. She laid the line down. They come flying back from his family to see, you know, what's going on, and by then Victoria was in the house, and in her mind everything was fine in Jessica, but Fabian told Jessica, you're going to have to leave. And the original plan was to leave that evening, but the mom didn't know how to get there, so okay, you can leave in the morning. Now, it's true, Jessica gave some money to Victoria, but it was more than what you should give to a 10-year-old. It was like $60 or something. And he talked to her in the bathroom.
It's like $60 or something. Like, it seems like you would know how much it was. I think that's pretty pertinent.
And some of the money came back, but they held on to 20 or something. And he and her, with Michelle's permission, and this is the first time he was allowed to be alone with her because of her hypervigilance of what had happened with the old boyfriend, they went to the Giant. He bought a bottle to celebrate with Michelle, and he got her the Coke and maybe a snack there at the Giant, and they came back. Now, Fabian wanted to go back to see his brother. They had abruptly left when Victoria was locked out and they got the call. He agreed, and it was only going to be a short little finishing up of their visit. They were going to be home before it was dark. And Victoria wasn't alone with Jessica. She was outside playing on her scooter with her friends. And there's a lot of mothers there, and kids, older kids.
Hey, Thin Mint. Thin Mint said, what the fuck?
And really the decision was made by Michelle. Well, she's better off here. Let's get back quickly. And so they left. That was the fatal decision that was made. But it was not one with knowledge of danger. Victoria wanted to invite everybody to her birthday party the next morning. She's safe at home in her neighborhood, or so Michelle thought. The murder. After Fabian and Michelle left, Jessica told Victoria to come inside. Victoria apparently changed into her pink pajamas, or that's what Jessica will tell you. Why did Jessica strangle Victoria? Were there signs of mental illness? Or did she take meth laced with bath salts? We'll never know.
So bath salts is now possibly has been ingested by this duo as well?
But if truth be told, it wasn't somebody who killed her, as the prosecution said. It's not a he, but a she. Jessica Kelly killed Victoria.
I believe that.
And their star witness entered into a plea agreement where they dropped the murder against her and gave her 50% good time for a nonviolent crime in exchange for her testimony in this case. But you'll see Exhibit A is her plea agreement. And you'll have a chance to see her story, which is about what you'll hear on the stand and the breaks that she got, the charges that were dropped so that they could prosecute in this case. Jessica never screamed for help or called 911 when some strange man that nobody outside, there were 4 kids that see her bring the child out a short while afterwards. Nobody saw this car driving around that she'll tell you about, a strange car with people in it, a well-dressed man with a Mexican accent who goes up the steps in front of all of these people into the apartment, down the steps, and leaves. Nobody saw that. She didn't cry for help or call 911. Instead, she wrapped the body in a blanket and carried Victoria's body outside onto the landing. Jessica started down the stairs, but Victoria's body was too heavy to carry any distance. Jessica was very...
That's bullshit. She was a small 10-year-old little girl that, no, sorry, nope, stop with the bullshit.
Strong person, but she had no endurance. And there were people outside, including Michelle and Fabian had returned. And they were listening to music, unaware of any danger, unaware.
Well, he said smoked weed possibly laced with bath salt, so I would think that it was the drug. I don't know, though. My honey laughed teasing me about getting all into the bath salt, saying I had a problem and needed help. I remember that's the only way. I've never actually seen bath salts. I've seen like what we used as like bath bombs. I always thought like when I first heard of bath salts, I thought that's what it was. I thought people were legit like snorting the stuff you put into your bathtub, but I was wrong, obviously. I don't know what it looks like or anything. Last night I had a read through the thread about this case on Dreamin' Demon. I've never seen that. I need to look it up on Reddit though. I'm with y'all. This is some bullshit. Bullshit. Hey, Becky. All right.
That her daughter had already been killed. Jessica smiled and everyone thought Victoria was asleep. Not only the 4 kids, there were adults that were coming back from the grocery store that passed by her, other parents and people outside. It was the first day of school for the older kids, and everybody was outside on this August early evening. You see, Jessica fooled everyone. She fooled the kids standing at the bottom of the stairs. She fooled the adults coming up. She fooled Michelle and Fabian after she tucked the body in bed. Fabian fixed them dinner and cleaned up afterwards. Even the police were fooled into believing Fabian killed Victoria later that night until they finally dropped those charges against him. Fabian and Michelle went into the master bedroom. Jessica's plan was both simple and crazy. She needed to get rid of the body. She was strong, but she couldn't carry the body. So she would cut up the body into lighter pieces. It would take about an hour for a person to cut up the body this way, but Jessica never finished. We know that Michelle came out of the room once, at least, to smoke a cigarette. A neighbor overheard Jessica tell Fabian to be quiet when he argued with her in the balcony. Jessica kept the TV on to drown out any noise. And Fabian and Michelle were a little, while she's leaving in the morning, just let her do her thing. When Michelle fell asleep, Fabian got bored and answered a text from an old girlfriend, posted something on Facebook in the bedroom. Not exactly what someone cutting up a body would do. Jessica never answered her phone. She was occupied. Finally, Fabian and Michelle were sound asleep. But time was running out to cut up the body. Not enough time to get rid of it. Probably she did make one dump run because all of the clothes that were in the closet that were piled up when she cut up the body, they're missing. The pink pajamas are gone. She hasn't told anybody that yet, but sounds like there was a dump run where they didn't go to the two dumpsters right outside, but she went somewhere else. A new plan. Jessica snuck into the master bedroom, stole their cell phones and wallet, planned to kill them and burn down the apartment. Jessica stormed into their bedroom with a laundry iron. "Do you believe in God?" she asks. Both were startled awake, and a fight quickly moved from the bedroom into the living room. And people from below them and to the side heard this. Jessica smashed Michelle in the face and the back of the head with an iron. The fight stopped, and Fabian tried to clean up a little bit of Michelle's blood.
Y'all, I'm not even lying. Tom said his kids probably fell asleep within a minute of him reading bedtime stories to them, and I'm not even kidding. Like, I'm about to fall asleep over here, but I'm going to try to stop it and talk to keep it lively so we do get some of the opening statements. Bad girl, oh my gosh, thank you so much. That was so very sweet of you. I really appreciate that so very much. She says, donating to our toilet paper fund for all the bullshit. Stay safe, everyone, and know you are loved. You're so sweet. Thank you so very much. I really, really appreciate that. That was so very generous of you. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And yes, we do need a lot of toilet paper for all the bullshit because it's getting deep in here. It's getting deep.
Hoping Victoria
Thank you, bad
was
girl.
in her room trying to calm Jessica down. He didn't know the full extent of what was going on here. There was just a domestic violence that seemed to come out of nowhere. Michelle at some point runs into Victoria's bedroom and manages to lock the door. And then Jessica turns around and hits Fabian in the back of the head and the small of his back with the iron. Fabian grabbed the iron and threw it over the balcony and jumped over the balcony and started pounding on doors for help. Michelle.
Trailgazer, I'm sorry you're not feeling well, sweetheart, and I hope that your daughter has a wonderful birthday. Please tell her that we said happy birthday. And yeah, I'm tired of kids being abused too. The next case that I have information on is about it's about children, but not small children. It's about a group of teenagers who do some pretty horrendous things. So, the next one won't be as graphic. I think this is like the worst one that I had, and I need to FOIA some more. Hi, Irene Pinky. I'm glad that you made a live. Um, yeah, I know it's bad. I want us to get through it though. I mean, I don't want us to miss the opening statements. It doesn't look like there's much more to it. I think he's almost done. So I think we're almost through it. Yeah, happy birthday to your daughter. Poor Iron. um, I can play the birthday song if for her if you would like. Let me know if you want me to play the birthday song for her. I didn't know if you would want me to or not. I don't know if she's like around you or anything like that. But happy birthday to her. That's so sweet. Yeah, we're almost done with this.
Michelle managed to get out the door. There was no Victoria in her bedroom. And Michelle raced to the front door. She got free. And as she was shutting the door on Jessica's arm, Jessica bragged, "Your baby is dead." What? Michelle ran downstairs and caught up with Fabian. A neighbor called 911 for them, and they waited for the police. She had said that, but that couldn't be true. Jessica was alone when she set fire to the body.
Abraham, thank you so much. That's so sweet of you. I really appreciate that. Abraham said, "This is for the wipes, for those who prefer that." Y'all are so funny. Thank you so much, Abraham. That was so sweet and supportive of you. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you guys for your support. You guys are amazing. Y'all are so sweet. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate that. Yes, it is Trailgazer's oldest daughter's birthday. Southern Cats, I have seen you and been meaning to say hey to you like 3 or 4 times. Hey, Southern Cats, it's good to see you, love. Yeah, call police before or after taco eating crime. And you're running out of the apartment and shutting the door on Jessica's arm, and it's then that Jessica says that your daughter is deceased. Like, why weren't you trying to get your daughter out of the apartment? I'm sorry, I would not have left my daughter in that apartment. Irene said, "Please shout out my bonus child. He's graduating college from Texas A&M. He studied forensics. I've loved him since day one. Go Aggies? Aggies? I don't know. Aggies or Angies? Aggies? I'm probably saying that horribly and slaughtering it. But that is so amazing. I'm so glad that he is graduating from college and also studying forensics. That is really cool. That is something I've always wanted to do. Please tell him we said congratulations, and that's amazing. He did a really good job. That's awesome, and that's a great field of study to go into. Happy birthday to your daughter. Horse Lover said he's setting up mitigating factors to avoid life. That's a good point. That's probably exactly, I agree with that. That's probably what he's doing. I missed Abraham. No, I think I grabbed it. I did. I said I grabbed Abraham's chat and said thank you so very much and read that this is for the wipes for those who support that. I think that was the other one. So we had Fawny this morning saying that she was sober, 2-year sobriety date, which is awesome. We had Shraddha that did a $4 super sticker, which was sweet. That was so sweet. Curious Christine said thanks for the amazing coverage and commentary. Love it here, and we love you too. That was sweet. And then Bad Girl said donating to our toilet paper fund for all the bullshit. Stay safe, everybody, and know you are loved. And that was so sweet. And then Abraham said this is for the wipes for those who prefer that. And that was so sweet. And then we had Miss Cindy from sunny South Florida and Miss Scorpio Rising both gifted 5 Speculation Station memberships because y'all were just so sweet and supportive and amazing. I love our family. We are all so proud of y'all, and I'm so glad that y'all are here with us. Yeah, that's a good point too, Abraham. I don't think he could get life based on the charges because he did end up getting found guilty for reckless child endangerment, I think. And I don't know if, you would get life because I did see where they did a bond reduction hearing because a $1 million bond didn't fit the charges because the charges should have been way less. Hey, Kelly Crane. Kelly Crane said, "Is this a new trial? I thought he was already sentenced." No, this is not a new trial. It's from July of 2022. He was already sentenced. We're just looking at it to see basically what their stories are and what information we can get from this that we haven't gotten from the interviews and interrogations.
Put her stash of cell phones and compact discs into a basket, her meth and Fabian's wallet in her bra. Just as the police were breaking in, she jumped from the balcony, injuring her ankle. When Jessica was arrested outside, she told detectives, well, somebody else set the place on fire, not her. The officers found Victoria's body and the orange laundry basket with the wallets and cell phones and Jessica's purse on top, random socks, and a bag of body parts. Michelle did not know. She didn't know for sure. She had been told that, but she didn't see anything.
Belladonna, thank you so much for the $10. My goodness, y'all are so sweet. Belladonna said, "Just for coffee to get us through this, girl. I just got me I got another pot started brewing. We gonna get through it. We gonna get through it." Thank you so much for the super chat. That was so very sweet and supportive of you. I really appreciate that. Tomorrow's Bogart's birthday, really? We'll have to tell Bogart happy birthday. Yes, ma'am. You're craving bath salts now? Have you ever eaten Epsom salt? I don't know if you could eat that. I mean, I'm sure you could, but yeah, Michelle was sentenced to 12 years with 6 already served. She'll get out around 2028, I do believe. She might be out now. Depends on good behavior and if she's able to get out with good behavior. Yes, Thea Marie, good to see you. He did just say a bag of body parts. I'll back it up. Sorry. Hold on, y'all.
Jessica's arm. Jessica bragged, your baby is dead. What? Michelle ran downstairs and caught up with Fabian. A neighbor called 911 for them, and they waited for the police. She had said that, but that couldn't be true. Jessica was alone when she set fire to the body. Put her stash of cell phones and compact discs into a basket, her meth and Fabian's wallet in her bra. Just as the police were breaking in, she jumped from the balcony, injuring her ankle. When Jessica was arrested outside, she told detectives, well, somebody else set the place on fire, not her. The officers found Victoria's body and the orange laundry basket with the wallets and cell phones and Jessica's purse on top, random socks, and a bag of body parts. Michelle did not know.
Hold on a minute. Let me catch. It sounded like on top of a purse, a bag of socks, and a bag of body parts. I'm just taking it back 10 seconds.
Jessica's purse on top, random socks.
Hold on. I didn't go quite back far enough. We're at 105.58. There.
Basket, her meth and Fabian's wallet in her bra. Just as the police were breaking in, she jumped from the balcony, injuring her ankle. When Jessica was arrested outside, she told detectives, well, somebody else set the place on fire, not her. The officers found Victoria's body and the orange laundry basket with the wallets and cell phones and Jessica's purse on top, random socks, and a bag of body parts.
Oh my God. Okay, so in the orange laundry basket were the cell phones, the wallets, random socks, a bag of body parts, and on top of it was Jessica's purse. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. Wow. No, I don't think they're denying she did meth. Irene said, did anyone else catch that when he was talking with the 2 officers outside right after it happened? So I got the I put that interview out, like I didn't listen to all of it. I need to go back and listen to it. But I made the overlays and videos, and I need to re-listen to it. But she said I was watching this person said I was watching the last video that was Fabian's first interview, where he never mentioned taking Victoria to the store, only saying that they came back and heard some songs and went to bed. Maybe he was just talking and talking and left that part out. I don't know. That is weird. And then they asked, did anyone else catch when he was talking with the two officers outside after it happened? I didn't catch that, but you would think that would be the most accurate recap of the day, because it's right after the events happened. So soon after they happened that he's sitting outside of the apartment. Yeah, that's interesting. Considering they're saying it at trial, I would think that he did actually go to the the gas station, but we'll have to see if there's camera footage of it. Yeah, I agree, Tom. I've heard about it.
Michelle did not know.
Yeah.
She didn't know for sure. She had been told that, but she didn't see anything. Michelle and Fabian told the truth for hours. You'll hear what they told the police at the scene, which is probably the best evidence, and you'll have to decide, are they telling the truth? Is that all they knew, or did they know something much more? Unlike Jessica, who ended her police statement in about 3 minutes, Fabian was interrogated for over 8 hours wearing only his shorts with Michelle's blood on it. Michelle, at some point, broke down. She had been hit on the head twice, her nose.
One moment, Mr. Evans. Is there objection?
Yes, sure.
Do you want a bench conference, or do you want to go back into the jury room?
Can we go in the jury room?
Sure. So, does anyone need a bathroom break? All right. I'm talking to the jurors. All right, then I'm happy to stay put. Did anyone raise their hand? Did I miss? All right, happy to stay put. We'll be right back with you.
Okay. Hey, Rubber. It's good to see you, love. Well, I thought it was almost over. He's going to continue talking. All right. Looks like we got about 10 more minutes of him speaking. If you guys want to skip this and try to jump right into some testimonies, we can do that. I don't know that we'll be able to finish the testimonies today, but we can definitely get started on one if you guys would rather do that, because I know it's getting like tiring. So do you guys want to jump into some of the what they actually say from that day? Rubber Ramada, thank you for being here, love. It's good to see you. And Glitter is forever. Good to see you. Belladonna says, please. Okay. So we'll jump into some testimony. I think we get the idea of the opening statement. So I know when Jessica testifies, they show some pictures. Hold on. Okay, this goes all the way back to the beginning. So after opening statements, we go to Fabian Gonzalez trial, July 13th. This is the afternoon session, and it looks like that's Jessica Kelly. So I guess we'll go ahead and start with her.
Sample, and then
that's going to be from an officer, but I don't know if they got that guy or not. Oh no! Loch Ness Monster with the tank top. I'm learning to drink coffee black. Still sort of hate it this way. I don't like it that way. I got to have me some good creamer. Oh, I didn't mean to torture y'all. Okay, so let's get in to see what Jessica says. I think that's all an officer. Maybe she's not in this one. Maybe she was just on the thumbnail. Oh. Got a little bit of it.
Thank you. You may be seated. Ms. Kelly and Ms. Ridgeland, raise your right hand.
All right.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of law the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You may put your hand down and state your name, please.
My name is Jessica Kelly.
All right. And
She's talking real soft and withdrawn, and her makeup is not heavy. Her hair is not fixed. She don't look like she's trying to be a little chola. This is interesting. She's trying to come off innocent and sweet with this Playboy bunny crown tattoo here. All these tattoos over here, that spider web on the elbow. Yeah. I don't like it.
I need you to get a little bit closer. I'm going to turn your volume up as loud as I can, but I need you to sit real close to that microphone.
Ew.
Hi, Ms. Kelly.
Gross.
How are you doing?
All right.
Are you nervous?
Hmm.
Ms. Kelly, let me just start by asking you just a few questions about yourself, okay?
Okay.
Where did you grow up? What part of town?
The South Valley in Albuquerque.
Do you have brothers or sisters?
Yes.
How many did you have?
I have 2 sisters and a brother.
Do you know who the defendant in this case is, Fabian Gonzalez?
Yes, I do.
How do you know him?
He's my cousin.
Growing up, who did you live with when you were growing up?
I lived with my mom, my dad, my grandma, my cousins.
Okay. When you say your cousin, do you mean the defendant?
The defendant.
What time in your life did you live with him?
All throughout my childhood.
I'm sorry, hang on 1 second. You can't hear. All right, we're gonna have to try something else. Can you hold the microphone? Are you able to do that?
Yeah.
That might be easier. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you answer that question again so we can test the microphone? What period of time did you live with?
All throughout my childhood.
Did you graduate from high school?
No.
When was the last grade you finished?
So yeah, she did gain a lot of weight in jail. I'll be honest with you, when I would go, now I never went to prison or anything. I just, would go for, maybe 30 days here, 60 days here. But I gained a lot of weight too, because I guess from not smoking or whatever, I gained some weight as well. A lot of people do because, you're cut off from everything that you were doing on the outside as far as smoking and if you're doing anything else. But yeah, she definitely gained quite a bit of weight.
I finished freshman year, my 9th grade year.
Okay. And what happened that year?
I got pregnant.
And did you have, what year was your child born?
My child was born in 2001.
Is that a son or a daughter?
That's a daughter.
Did you have a second child after your daughter?
Yes, I had a second child and I had a son in 2003.
Miss Kelly, where do you live now?
I live in Grants, New Mexico.
Okay. Are you in prison?
I'm in prison.
Why are you in prison?
Because of this case.
Okay. How many years are you serving in this case, for this case?
44 years.
Okay. Do you know how many years you were facing before you were sentenced?
About 200 years.
And did you take a plea agreement in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We've talked about, I might ask an obvious question, but you've already been sentenced, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Before you were sentenced, was there a fixed number of years that you had agreed to serve in prison?
50.
Okay. And will your sentence become shorter for testifying in this trial?
No.
Why are you testifying in this trial?
To do the right thing.
How come you took a plea agreement in this case?
I took a plea agreement because I felt if I took it to trial, I would get a life sentence.
Before pleading in this case, did you have other felony convictions?
Yes.
Okay, let me just list these for you and ask you if these are correct, okay?
She legit asked, did you have any other felony convictions? And then says, let me just list them for you, and you tell me if they're correct. I bet she's about to read for about 10 minutes all of the damn felony charges this one here has.
In 2018, did you get sentenced to prison for distribution of a controlled substance?
Yes.
And did you have a felony conviction in 2013 for a conspiracy?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have another trafficking conviction in 2011?
Yes.
You seem a little emotional. Is it hard to be here today?
Yeah.
Why is it hard?
That's my cousin.
Ma'am. I mean, I don't know. She seems legitimately upset. Sorry, I was getting Basil some crackers. She seems legitimately upset about having to testify against her cousin, but, like, where was that for Victoria? Where was that when you were in the hospital cussing them nurses out? Stop it. Yeah, I'm gonna, no remorse. Bullshit. No, ma'am. Please. That's where I'm at with it.
Why is it hard to testify against your cousin?
If I grew up with him, I love you.
Was there anyone in your life that sort of encouraged you to testify today?
My kids and my mom.
And what did they tell you to do?
To do the right thing and to make sure I come home.
There's some tissues to the side. Do you need to grab them? Jessica, in 2016, we talked about some previous convictions that you had. In 2016, did you get released from a prison sentence?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you remember what day that was?
It was on the 15th of August.
Of what year?
2016.
When you got out of prison, who did you meet up with?
At first I met up with my son, and then I met up with my daughter.
One moment. Ms. Moya, this is the third time your phone has gone off. I'm going to have the phone removed from the courtroom. I've had enough. Can you get the phone and take it out?
Okay. So you met up with your son, and then you said, who else did you meet up with? Sort of right away?
With my daughter.
Your daughter? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What about any friends?
I met up with friends 3 days later. I went to my family's house.
You went to your family first? Okay. Did you get a phone right when you got out?
Yes. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. My friend Shuri, but she's actually my daughter's cousin.
Okay. So you met up with your friend Shuri. What's her last name?
Barella.
And did she help you get a phone?
Actually, I had a check from DLC. I went and cashed it, and I bought a phone with the money.
Okay. Now, just moving forward a couple days, do you remember hearing from the defendant after you got out of prison?
Yes.
Okay, how did you hear from him? Like
On Messenger on Facebook.
Facebook Messenger? And do you remember what day that was?
That was, I believe, a Wednesday.
Was that the 17th of August? I'm going to have to get a calendar, I think. Is that right? Wednesday the 17th, sound right?
I think so.
Okay.
That's a good question. Lisa Lynn, I think this is Jessica, but did I think you meant, did she get convicted for killing Victoria? And we looked it up yesterday. I don't think so. I think the unknown male is the one who's getting convicted for that. Oh, never mind. It says Jessica Kelly was charged with first-degree murder, child abuse resulting in grievous bodily harm, death, kidnapping, tampering with evidence, and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. She pled no contest. She pleaded no contest to child abuse recklessly caused, resulting in death, tampering with evidence, and aggravated assault. Kelly was sentenced to 50 years in prison with 6 years suspended. I need to know. We need to look up convictions to see what she was convicted of. Let's see. I think that would be the same, but we'll see. Jessica Kelly has been sentenced to 50 years in prison with 6 years suspended for the death of Victoria Martens. She has also been convicted of taking part in the sexual assault of a female inmate while in prison, a fellow inmate, which would have been female. So I think she did get the charged with Victoria's death. That's what it looks like to me. Okay, hold on just a minute. Okay. They did reduce the charges. Angela looked it up. She told us yesterday how to look it up. So I trust that she has the right information. Sometimes they do let them talk on Facebook and YouTube and things like that. In prison, not in jail, but in prison sometimes they will, yeah. You bunny sit your neighbors when they go out of town, but it hates me. My neighbor has 4 rabbits, and I babysit them sometimes. She's got a dog, 2 ducks, and a chicken too that I babysit. Okay, I will check it in just a minute. Thank you, Mercedes. Yeah. What about the SA Victoria went through? Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the CSAM was reduced, but I don't know about the other. Okay, thank you. All right.
And where did you guys decide to meet up?
Yes.
Where did you end up meeting him?
I ended up meeting him at his girlfriend's house. I took the bus over there.
Who is his girlfriend?
Oh, I forgot her name right now. I'm just really nervous.
It's okay. Does Alicia Aragon sound like the name? Okay. And what part of town or what area, do you remember what intersection she lived at or what apartment?
I know it was off of Louisiana.
Louisiana, do you remember across street?
I don't remember.
Okay. So was this on the same day that you first heard from Fabian, or was this the next day?
This was the next day. I heard from him the night before on Messenger, and I told him to wait until tomorrow.
Do you remember about what time of day you ended up going over to Miss Aragon's house?
Probably about noon on Wednesday.
Do you know, you said you took the bus. Do you know how the defendant arrived at Alicia's house? Or Miss Aragon's?
No.
You don't know?
He was just there. I think he was there from the night before.
How long did you stay at, was this a house or an apartment?
Apartment.
How long did you stay there?
We stayed there for a little while, and then we left to go to the Downs to go meet my friend.
You said we. Who is we that left?
Me and Fabian.
Just the 2 of you?
Yeah.
And you went to the Downs? What is the Downs?
A casino right there off of Louisiana and Central.
Okay, what did you do at the Downs? How did you get to the Downs?
Alicia dropped us off.
What are the Downs, I wonder? Hey, Proud Danish, good to see you. Jessica is the female Ted Bundy.
And then what did you guys do there?
We met up with Lori Beck, and Lori Beck picked me and him up because I had to go to Cherise to go babysit. And Fabian went with me.
You said you saw a lot of people. Where did you know those people from?
Actually, I didn't see them that day. We seen them in the nighttime.
Okay, so just at this time you go to the casino, Lori picks you up. How long were you at the casino? What did you guys do?
We just pulled up, and she was already there. We jumped in the car. We drove around a little while. She gave me some.
You drove around, and then where did you go after that?
And then we went to Cherise.
How do you know, let's back up a little bit. You said Cherie, and you said that's your daughter's cousin. Is that how you know her?
Yeah.
What about Lori Beck? How do you know Lori Beck?
She's a friend that I used to hang around with.
And before this, had you ever met Alicia Aragon before?
I guess she was my Facebook friend, but we never met in person.
So did you have some mutual friends, or?
Yeah.
But you didn't know her directly?
No, I didn't know her directly.
So when you get to Cherie's house, did anyone come over?
Yeah. Michelle and Victoria came over to pick up.
Michelle Martens and Victoria Martens?
Yes.
Had you ever met them before?
No.
Okay. And do you remember about what time of day that was?
I know it was before 11 o'clock at night because she was coming home from work. Fabian left with her, and then they came back to see if I wanted to go with them. Lori Beck ended up showing up, and I was like, well, take me to the Downs. Fabian.
Hey, Paul G, number 7. Thank you so much for being here, and it's good to see you. Paul G and Angela Ballerina both informed us that the Downs is a racetrack and casino in Albuquerque. That's interesting. I have 2 questions. Why is it called the Downs, and is it like Native American owned? The reason I'm asking that is because I know, like here in North Carolina, there is one in Cherokee, and the only way that I think the only way it's allowed to be here is because it's owned by Native Americans. And I know there's like a lot of reservations and things out there, so I was just curious. And thank you for letting me know. Thank y'all for being here too.
Follow me to the Downs with Michelle and Victoria. Me and Fabian got down, and I ended up...
Let me slow you down really quick and back up just a little bit to when you and the defendant got to Cherie's house.
Okay.
Was Cherie home?
Yes.
Okay. And was Cherie home when Michelle and Victoria arrived?
No, she was at work.
Okay. And what happened at Cherie's? Did anyone eat, or what did Victoria do?
Actually, Fabian made her some Hot Pockets and made her some snacks and stuff because the other kids, I already had them written down for school.
When the defendant was cooking a snack or a meal for Victoria, what was Michelle doing?
She was just sitting in the living room.
Okay, at that point, between Michelle and Fabian, which one of them was acting more responsible for Victoria?
Thank you, Kimberly, and thank y'all for letting me know. Angela said, I have no idea on the Downs name. It's interesting because to be a casino, like when I think of casino, I would think about like, you know, you want to be up on the money. You want to increase your funds, not deplete them or go down. So the Downs makes me think of like losing money, depression, upset, being really down and out. I don't know. I know I'm looking way too much into it. I'm just curious. Maybe it's the ADHD. Thank you, Kimberly, also for answering my question and being here. Kentucky horse racetrack is called the Downs. That's interesting. Interesting. I had no idea. Delta Downs is in Louisiana, casino and horse track. So maybe it's Downs is like the company and they own a bunch of casinos with horse tracks. That's interesting. I had no idea. Yeah, it's got to be some kind of like name then, or like, you know, because it's a casino and a racetrack, it's called a Downs, maybe? Huh. Paul said, I'm from Albuquerque. I don't know why they call that state fairgrounds. Oh, really? So that's where you have the state fair. Interesting. Reminds me of Churchill Downs. Huh. Interesting. Thank you, guys.
Fabian.
So then you said you decided to leave Cherie's and go back to the Downs?
Yes.
How did you leave? What car did you leave?
Well, I went with Lori Beck because she wanted me to go home. She didn't want me running around at night. She wanted me to go back home, and I didn't want to go back home.
You need to bring it a little closer, a little louder.
I didn't want to go back home, so I ended up meeting up with Fabian and Victoria and Michelle at the Downs.
So they left Cherie's before you did?
Yes, they met me at the Downs.
Whose car were they in?
In Michelle's.
Do you remember what color that car was or what kind of car it was?
It was like a tan car.
Real quick, Sharada said, why horse tracks are called Downs? Because they were originally built on the downland of England during the 19th century. That is really interesting. Annabella said that the internet says the term down comes from Britain and Ireland, where around the year 1500 horse races were held on grassy plains before formal racetracks were built. Very interesting. Thank you, guys. Linda, good to see you, said Victoria had alcohol in her system, and she absolutely did. You have Tampa Bay Downs there. That's interesting. Thank you guys for letting me know why they called it the Downs. Oh, yep. And Glitter is telling us. Yep, y'all are all telling us that it's called the Downs because of that. Tom said, according to the internet, the racetrack have low points where water collects. Interesting. Yeah, I learned something today too.
Do you remember who was driving Michelle's car?
Michelle.
So when you meet up, tell us what happens then.
Me and Fabian get down. I ended up running into a bunch of my friends, and we're exchanging contact information and stuff. Me and Fabian ended up walking around the Downs for a little bit.
Where were Michelle and Victoria while you guys?
Victoria and Michelle were in the car.
What time of day is this?
This is at midnight.
And do you remember if this was a weekday?
This, I believe, was Wednesday night.
Okay, so you said you're walking around. What else did you guys do?
As I was talking and I was about ready to get in the car, Fabian was breaking into cars, and a guard came up and told him something. I was like, let's just go, get out of here. You know what I mean? Like, I just got out of prison. We can't be doing this. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, sorry, cuz, let's go.
So did you leave at that point?
And we left at that point.
In what car?
In Michelle's.
Who was driving?
Michelle.
Where's Victoria?
She's in the back seat with her blanket.
Okay. Who sat in the back with Victoria?
Fabian.
So you and Michelle are in the front, and you and Victoria in the back? And it's around midnight or later?
Mm-hmm.
We need yeses and nos.
Yes.
Thank you. Where did you go after you left at that time?
So they went to this place, and Fabian's like trying to break into cars. So maybe I don't know how you like lift 5-finger discount a motor, because you got to have a chain and everything to get that out. But evidently he was trying to steal something out of cars or off of cars. And she said the guard saw, and then they jumped in the car and took off. And Michelle was driving, and they got this child in the back while they're doing all of these things. Yeah. Like Tom said, whole family of gangsters. Hate she talks like this. Want to play her voice again at the hospital, huh? Yeah, like, if you compare the two, it's very interesting. Hey, Jenny. I know, that poor... I can only imagine what Victoria went through before all of this. Goodness gracious.
I believe I went and met up with Nia, one of my other friends. She ended up giving me...
What's Nia's full name?
Arnelia Williams.
And she gave you what?
She ended up giving me work shoes, a black work shirt, some toilet paper, and some pillows. She worked at a hotel, and she knew that I needed help being that I just got out of prison. And then after that...
Where did you meet up with her?
At her apartment complex right there by the Downs.
How long were you there?
10, 15 minutes.
Where did everybody go into her apartment, or?
No, just I did.
Okay, where were Fabian, Michelle, and Victoria?
They stayed in the car.
Okay, so you leave there, and where do you go next?
We went to my friend Pee-wee's.
Who's Pee-wee?
I don't know his real name. All I know is his name is Pee-wee. He has a Pee-wee shop.
How do you know him?
He's my sister's friend, and I do a lot of side jobs for him at the shop to earn extra money.
Where was his shop? What area was the shop located?
It was right there by the Downs.
Still by the Downs?
Mm-hmm. It was right on Aztec and Central.
So you go to Pee-wee's, to his shop or to his house?
To his shop. Well, that's his house.
He lives there too. So you're at Pee-wee's. Did everyone go into Pee-wee's?
No, actually, I left my phone number in his mailbox.
Where did you go next?
Next, Alicia Aragon's.
Okay, it appears we are still here. I have my live up in the back on another page so I can make sure. It just acted weird, so I stopped it.
All four of you?
Just me and Fabian.
What happened? How did you and Fabian get to Alicia's?
We got dropped off by Michelle.
So Michelle and Victoria dropped you and Fabian off back at Alicia Aragon, his girlfriend's house?
Yes.
And what happened then?
I can definitely agree with that. Carolina said, to be honest, I also believe that Jessica Kelly owed a drug debt. Instead of wasting time on Fabian and Michelle, detectives should have focused on Jessica's associates. Valuable time was wasted on Victoria Martens' investigation. And I do definitely believe that she knows who this other person is. She's protecting him for whatever reason. And yeah, we should have checked all of Jessica Kelly's associates, because I think you would find the person who committed this homicide if you just look at her and all the people she was associated with at that time. There has got to be this person coming in and out on video if indeed somebody else did. And considering there's unknown male DNA on this child, I would say there was an unknown male there. We should be able to find them, especially, again, check her associates, all the people she knows. She knows who it is.
Me and him stayed there all night until about 6 in the morning when Michelle came back and picked us up again.
Let me ask you a question about getting dropped off. Did Michelle or Victoria get out of the car or just kind of pull up and you guys got out?
They pulled up and Fabian talked to Michelle and we just stayed there.
Do you know if Michelle knew who Alicia Aragon was?
I'm pretty sure she didn't.
So you stayed there the night, and tell me again, what time the next morning did Michelle come for you?
About 6 in the morning, as soon as the sun came up.
Was anyone with her?
Victoria.
So during that night, what time was it when you got dropped off at Alicia's finally? Do you remember?
At like 1 in the morning.
Did Michelle and Victoria get out of the car at any of those stops?
No.
Did you or the defendant sleep that night at Alicia's, or were you awake?
We stayed awake.
After you went to Alicia's house, after Michelle and Victoria dropped you off, did you meet up with anyone else?
We ended up meeting up with Jessica Rivera and Star.
Okay. Do you know Star's name?
No, I don't.
Okay. How do you know Jessica Rivera and Star?
I know them from previous acquaintances, and I grew up with Jessica.
And did you go and stay at, where did you meet up with them?
We met up with them at a Motel 6.
And how long, did you have a room? Or
No, we just met up real quick.
And then where did you go after that?
And we went back to Alicia's.
Okay. Until Michelle picked you up the next morning? Understood. When Michelle picked you up really early the next morning when the sun came up, where did you go?
We went back to we went to Michelle's house, and her and her daughter left. Me and Fabian stayed there. Fabian let me wash the clothes I was wearing. He lent me some clothes so I could shower, and we stayed there for a little while.
Did Victoria go to school?
I believe so. I'm not too sure.
Had you ever been to, had you ever been to Michelle's apartment?
No, this is the first time I've ever been there.
So Fabian let you wash some clothes, and what rooms were you hanging out in the apartment?
We were hanging around in Michelle's room.
So this is now the 18th of August?
This is Thursday.
Where did Michelle go?
She went somewhere with her mom, I believe, to go cash her check or something. I'm not too sure, but I know she went somewhere with her mom.
Hey, Jerica, good to see you.
Did you and Fabian have her car?
No, she left the car there. Me and Fabian were just there, just kicking back.
Did you go shopping that day? Do you remember?
I believe later on that night we did.
But not during the day?
Not during the day.
Did you sleep over at Michelle's apartment that night, on the night of the 18th?
I didn't sleep.
You didn't sleep again? No. Okay. Did that evening, you said you thought maybe you went shopping that night?
Yeah, I believe that night me and Fabian went and we bought groceries for the house, and some socks and stuff from Walmart.
From Walmart? Do you remember which Walmart?
It was a Walmart right there by Michelle's house.
Who went to Walmart?
Me and Fabian.
In whose car?
Michelle's. Fabian.
And did you go, who was home at Michelle's house at that time? Do you remember?
I believe her and her kids.
Both her kids are home?
Mm-hmm.
So the little brother is there?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
That's a yes? Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Did you go back to Alicia's that day? Or no?
I don't think we were back that day.
Okay.
We're gonna go about 1 more minute. Call it a day. Where did you sleep at Michelle's house that night? In what room?
I stayed on the couch.
And what time? And you said you didn't sleep?
No, I didn't sleep.
Did Fabian sleep?
I'm not too sure.
Where was he?
He was in Michelle's room.
And where were the kids?
The kids were in their rooms.
What bedding did you have?
I had a blanket from that Michelle let me use, and then I had pillows from the hotel.
Okay. It's probably a good second.
Okay. All right, we went a little bit longer than I promised, but we're going to go ahead and call it a day. I'm going to bring you back at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Just another recess instruction. Please be sure to avoid all news accounts. Do not discuss.
Okay, so we've been going for 2 hours and 42 minutes. I don't want to start the next day. We'll start it tomorrow. Since they ended that day like that, we'll end it right here, and then we'll talk about her second day of trial either tomorrow or the day after. I know tomorrow or the day after we're going to do the 2 children missing in Nova Scotia. So we'll see. I don't know. Well, you'll have to look at the thumbnail to know what tomorrow's going to be, but we will continue with Jessica Kelly's testimony tomorrow, the next day. Bad Girl said organs removed is beyond vile, and for what purpose? I don't know. I don't know if it was a bad trip. I don't know if it was something more nefarious. Yeah, it's questionable. The enclave of New Mexico is darker than the swamps of Florida. Oh my goodness. Carolina said, in my opinion, Jessica Kelly planned this, not being a baddie now, is she? Yeah, no doubt. I can't believe the jury fell for her bullshit. I guess they wouldn't have any way to know about that monster. Yeah, if they didn't play how she was in the hospital and all of that, like, they're not going to have any idea who she is. And it's sad. Time does fly when you're having fun. Naughty Catholic girls. Shraddha said, why the hell do they let people out of prison with no plan, no skills, and only old contacts? Right. I know a lot of times they do have programs and things to try to make people, like, give them some skills and try to help make them better people when they come out. But, yeah, I have the same question. Half-truth family is Jessica. She gave it to him, in my honest opinion. Yeah, and I mean, Wiccans, I don't see them doing anything like that, honestly. I used to look into that kind of stuff, and I don't think that they would be doing things like that, honestly. It is, Jenny Jen, it is so sad. Well, I want to thank y'all so very much for being here. Thank you, everybody, for being here and participating in chat, and even if you just watched, thank you so very much. Please don't forget to hit the thumbs up on your way out. I am going to try to get another video out this evening of the, what is it called? Disciplinary report from Stephen Stearns, and I do have the what the neighbor said ready to go out, and I'm still going through the audios that I have. I might have more audios of Michelle or even Jessica. I don't know yet. So I'm going to be going through that stuff and trying to get that stuff out for you guys. Thank you again for the support. You guys are all so sweet, and I love you all so very much. I hope you all have a good night, and we will definitely be back tomorrow. And just in case nobody has told you, you are enough, you are special, you are important, and you are loved. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Thank you again for your unwavering support. I love our speculating family, and thank you. Really, legitimately, thank you so much for everything. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye.